Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of what Indians are all about.
I still say we Indian people are believers in the truth. This is the way of life that was given to your people. You're born an Indian, you're going to die an Indian. Indianness is a good life. You're facing an Indian this afternoon.
Good Saturday afternoon out there, everyone, and welcome. It's your number one source for Native American television news, Native News Today. Alongside Mr. Gerald Wofford, I'm Jason Salzman, and thank you, folks, for being with us. We got a great 30 minutes coming up, full of Native American news and stories, and I think you're going to be very, very satisfied with what we got for you today.
Absolutely. As always, we say we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us this afternoon. So many great things happening out there in Indian country. Yep. You know, Jason, we talk about the festival being over, still kind of catching our breath a little bit from that. But hey, fall is quickly approaching. Those dog days of summer we still got to get through, but that doesn't stop us covering the news.
Yeah, absolutely, Gerald. And busy week in Indian country nationwide. The Native American Journalists Association annual conference going on this week in Phoenix. We're actually going out there and having a good conference. I know this year they've got a great lineup, a lot of pertinent topics, and for us, you know, journalists, that's what we do. And so to go out there and get some tips and see what's going on nationally and learn a little bit about the way we cover our unique stories in Indian country, it's a great way to get a breather, to network with some like-minded folks, and it's just a good time. But out in the desert.
We have to ask you, how does it feel to be going out of 96-degree weather into maybe almost 116-degree weather?
Well, you know how everybody always does this one, Gerald. You know, it's a dry heat. It's humid in Oklahoma, but out there it's nicer because it's a dry heat. I don't want to hear that. It's still hot. 115 degrees, whether it's dry, wet, whatever, is hot. You're baking. So, but it'll be great going out there. Some great stuff on Native News Today. Next week, we actually landed Native News Today an interview with the Arizona Diamondbacks, Major League Baseball club. And we'll be talking with them there live from Chase Field in downtown Phoenix about their partnership with the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community. It's a big partnership out there, some exciting stuff. I could go a little bit more into it, but hey, we want people to watch next week and have all of that.
But today
we got a lot of great stories here. We'll visit with a special young man, little guy by the name of Turtle, a 4-year-old boy, was born with a congenital heart defect. We get a brave story from his mother and family about Turtle. So don't want to miss that, folks. We also got West Snowfire, Cherokee warrior, going to be putting on Cherokee Fight Club at the Hard Rock this week. Also, Perry Bowlegs, he's a cultural preservationist. Amanda Rutland actually did a feature on him. And so you definitely don't want to miss that. It's going to be a great story. So we got lots of that and plenty more. So everybody out there kind of kick back. We know that you have a choice when you turn your TV on every Saturday. We're so glad that you make that choice to watch us here on Native News Today. And for everybody out there, like I said, we've got a little bit of everything for you today. So you definitely don't want to miss this next 30 minutes. Take our first break and we'll be right back. You're watching Native News Today.
Every 7 minutes, someone loses their eyesight. What do people with low vision look like? What do they see? Project Native serves Native Americans by offering hands-on workshops using low vision equipment that help with everyday activities. Please call 918-456-5581 for details about this free program. If you are Native American with low vision problems, let us help. Call 918-456-5581.
And welcome back to Native News Today. Jason Salzman, Gerald Wofford, you know, just covering the highways and byways of you want to say of Native News Today country. But you know, those highways and byways would not be accurate without maps. And Jason, this takes a lot of work, especially when you're detailing Native American tribes, where they're from, and just what's happening with them in the future. We've covered a similar story about that.
Yeah, and this next young man that came into the studio to join us for the last 10 plus years of his life has been working on a tribal nations map. All the tribes tribal nations of Canada, United States, all put together on one. What a great story. He's making so many headlines around Indian country. Nobody's ever done this before. And the thing that's so unique about it is it's our tribal nations in our own words, in our own languages, how we are called as tribes. Muskogee, Odawa, and so many people know them just Cherokee. That's not what the Cherokees refer to themselves as. So we had to talk with Aaron Carapella about this very special map.
I would always be looking for a good map of tribes just because I was interested in tribal history and reading books about all kinds of tribes. So after years of not finding one, I decided one day, let me just make my own. So I just, took 4 posters and, pieced them together and put them up on a wall and started adding in the tribes. And I realized that I had quite a few just from personal knowledge, and then I started adding in books and started asking people. And that's kind of where it started. Well, I think it's kind of, a lot of people have expressed how tribal groups are kind of autonomous in nature. So there's not a lot of, you'd think a map like this might have already been created before. And that's what I was really thinking. There's probably a map out there somewhere. And the more time I looked into it and didn't find one, I decided, maybe there isn't, and so I think it's important because it's kind of like the way Tecumseh looked at things. We are different tribes, but we all are one. And so this map kind of unifies all the nations and says, hey, all of our tribes were indigenous to here. We need to think of ourselves as Native Americans, not always just our independent groups, although that is important too. So I think the focus in me creating this map was centralizing all of this scattered information, bringing it onto one visual display, and informing people, whether natives or non-natives, of who is here, how expansive of a territory tribes existed on and took care of. And the focus really is not on me. I give all the honor back to all the people that helped me make the map. And a lot of people, answered my phone calls, took time with me personally when I'd visit places, different tribes, museums, cultural directors. So that's kind of who I say deserves all of the honor for this. The map itself, the original idea was just to have the indigenous names that tribes used for themselves, because as a lot of Native people know, you tend to see given names that other tribes called tribes, or names that Europeans called tribes. Sometimes those are diminutive names, they're offensive. And there are a lot of tribes that have never had their original name on a map. So I think it's kind of impacting at first sight. It kind of makes people stop and think, wow, have I seen something like this before? I don't think I have, and look at all these tribes. That's kind of the initial reaction that I get from people. Whoa, this is amazing. And I try to add in a lot of pictures to show the array of cultures, from coast to coast, how different cultures were. I tried to put not just pictures of warriors and chiefs, but also women and children and different dwellings. And I try to show things like the longhouses from the East Coast that were immense dwellings. And people don't think of Native people as, geniuses in architecture and, irrigation and things like that. So I try to show, I try to make it impacting to where people stop and look at it and realize, the true history of this land. I would like this to be something where the next generation under me looks at it and says, wow, that's our real name, and takes pride in using their language. As we all know, a lot of tribal languages are in danger. A lot of them are making a great comeback, but a lot of them are in severe danger of being lost. And sometimes in tribal communities, it's just a small percentage of the community trying to keep it going, at least the language part. So that's my main focus. And you lose a sense of who you are when you stop calling yourself by the name you're supposed to. And that a lot of educators, professors and teachers have bought this just to put in their schoolroom to go along with their Native Studies section of the year. And I think that I'd say about 50% of the people that have bought the map is that scenario. And I think it's for a reason, because people recognize what you're asking. children, you need to see things like this, not just this map, but things that reinforce their culture so that they take it on to that next generation.
And our thanks again to Aaron Carapella there, doing a lot of great work with his map, and those are actually available for the folks out there. Want one of these great maps, just go to his website there as we put on the story, and you'll have all the chances there to order you one and see all the where he's in the news and everything like that, and follow his blog, and plus keep up with Native News Today. He's really doing a good job.
And you had mentioned that, I mean, this was a labor of love.
Oh,
right?
yeah, 10 plus years, so it's been a large part of his life.
And naming all the different tribes, as you mentioned there, I mean, very educational. There's no reason why anybody would not want to have this map.
Absolutely, you know, and it's cultural preservation at work. And that segues us into our next piece, cultural preservationist Perry Bowlegs, you know, around the Okemah area. Amanda Rutland, our intern, that does a great job getting some stories with us. She really chronicled a feature here on Perry, who's working with an archaeologist from the University of Florida. I think you're really going to like what he has to say here in this next one.
I started doing my own field work. I was called by a gentleman out of Florida, Dr. Brent Wiseman, and he was an archaeologist there. And we started looking for historic sites dating from 1836 to about 1859 here in central part of Oklahoma, and where the Seminoles were removed. And within about 5 counties, we found approximately about 17 sites, you know, within the past several years of doing this research. And some of the things that we find, you know, that points to a historic site or Seminole pottery, you know, traditional pottery, pottery that was bought at trading posts, iron nails, glass, you know, of various colors. A lot of the china that we see is white china, and it was, you know, coming out of England. I had found a piece of Seminole pottery that was which is called corncob brushed pottery. And we knew that we were, you know, finding something really rare, because like I said earlier, that it was highly unlikely in our minds and anybody's minds that anything native made would have been allowed at, you know, at a school or, you know, or something like that, or even seen, you know, in a white settlement. I figured, well, I think it's my calling. It's mainly to educate people. A lot of folks think of Indians as, you know, the Hollywood type, you know, the dances with wolves type, the teepees and whatnot. I've always, you know, tried to change that. I've given presentations at local schools. I've did it at festivals like Fort Gibson, their annual fall or spring encampment, to show our side of history, you know, our presence at these places, you know, and to educate them on certain things, like giving a presentation on food, which everybody has in common. I'll show a piece of reproduction Seminole pottery, but I'll also show a brass kettle, you know, to show that, yeah, both were had, both were used. These places that Dr. Wiseman and I have found, nobody knows they're there. I mean, they're just, you know, history has passed it up. The way to go about preserving these sites is to bring the attention. Of course, you have to get permission from the landowner to even begin your field work with some written documents and notes that I have, and photographs, and show the importance of these sites, you know, whether it be, you know, a Seminole site or, you know, a trading post or something like that. Take that to the Oklahoma Historical Society or the Oklahoma Historic Preservation, you know, department, and talk with those folks about it and get the ball rolling. It would help to get some support. I feel the more you know your people, you know, the more you know yourself.
Well, Jason, we always have fun when we're covering those sports stories, no matter what the background is, softball, basketball, rodeo at times. And from time to time, the format of boxing comes across our desk, if you will, and this next story is certainly about that.
That Native American warrior spirit, specifically the Cherokee warrior, Mr. Wes No Fire, maybe from No Fire Hollow.
We'll
I
have to do
don't
some
know.
research
We'll have to do
on
some
that.
research there. Wes No Fire actually made a career as a standout basketball player at Sequoia High School there. A lot of people probably remember Wes from that. But afterwards, kind of didn't really get into it in the college, segued into the sweet science, went into boxing, moved to Miami to further his career and start training there. Well, he's bringing his first show under the No Fire Entertainment promotion brand back to Hard Rock Tulsa, which is the premier venue for the Cherokee Nation. What a great event for this young man, and what a great thing for the Cherokee people to see one of their own coming back home for Cherokee Fight Club. The Cherokee warrior Wes No Fire is coming back home, as his No Fire Entertainment promotion will be putting on its first major event, Cherokee Fight Night at Hard Rock Tulsa, and he's excited about the thought of returning to where it all started.
I've been boxing for a while. I got to make my pro debut here. I had 3 fights total here at the Hard Rock in Oklahoma, and being able to come back and now bring the first boxing event to a Cherokee sponsored event, a Cherokee hotel and casino, and being a Cherokee Native member myself and having a promotion company that's owned and operated by myself as a Cherokee member, it's just a silver lining to be able to come back here and have the debut show under here at the Hard Rock on the 19th. It's just something that I couldn't even fathom and wish for at the beginning of my career, so it's great. The main thing is first encompass a very great quality boxing night of fights. And one thing that we're bringing in was bringing a top-ranked super middleweight, Dia Davis. He is the son of Howard Davis, who is a former gold medalist, and he's going to be facing up against another guy who comes from the same pedigree. His dad was Carlos De Leon, and this is Carlos De Leon Jr. He'll be matching, and it comes from a family of world champions. His dad was a world champion as a cruiserweight, so they're going to be matching up against each other. They have the exact same record. They're both 21-3, and so they're both coming off of losses on national TV. So in order to get back to that level, they have to prove themselves, and they're proving themselves against each other right here in front of everyone to see and everyone to enjoy. Some spectacular night of boxing. We also have some local fighters that are going to be coming, a couple MMA fighters to make for a good crowd of pleasing, and then we're also incorporating a good entertainment. We're having a couple local Cherokee Nation sponsored athletes as well, Jason Christie and Ryan Dirt Eater. They're going to be coming here to help greet all the fans and take pictures with them. There's some great group of people that are going to be there that night. Also, we're getting America's Got Talent, Lil Mike and Funny Bone. I don't know if you've seen them. Go on YouTube, check them out. They're funny, they rap, and they're going to come there and put on a little bit of entertainment in between the fights. And so the night itself is not just going to be about world-class boxing, it's also going to be about a spectacular event that you just want to come to see. So that's what really I went for and strive to do every single time we put on an event.
After a standout basketball career at Sequoia High School in Tahlequah, Wes considered playing at the collegiate level before turning to the sweet science.
I think it was kind of an athlete's mindset. I always wanted to be involved in something with adrenaline, and with basketball, with the level we played at when I was in high school, gave you a lot of adrenaline, kept me in shape, and then when I left there and decided not to play college and pursue college basketball, I needed something that kept giving me the adrenaline rush and stay in shape. So I picked boxing as a sport that I always liked to do. I knew as great athletes, you have to be able to do that, and so I thought that'd be a great way to get in shape and stay active and stay fit, and I just learned out that I loved it more than I could imagine, and it was a real niche. And so that's something that really helped me get started off in boxing from basketball.
No Fire also embraces the business side of his career, and he sees promotion as a continued passion.
When I started boxing, I knew the smart way to take care of my own career was be my own manager and be my own promoter. I didn't expect being my own promoter this earlier in my career. I expected to be more later on down the line when I fought for a title. So to answer your question, absolutely. I want to be able to keep giving, especially my Native American fans at our casinos here locally where I'm from, the best events that they're going to be able to see when it comes to boxing and entertainment. We're lucky enough to have the branding of Hard Rock here at our Cherokee Casino, and that holds a lot of value to what kind of events are being brought here. So I have to stay on top of it to make sure that we're bringing one of the best quality events that can be brought to the state, into this area.
The support from the Native community has followed him wherever he goes.
I get phone calls and messages all the time from people who just want to give me congratulations or support on my next fight. There actually is some Native Americans out in Orlando, Florida that contacted me, hey, we're going to come to your next fight at the Hard Rock at the Seminoles. And I said, all right, that's perfect. And so you get it from all over the place, and being able to have that support is really what keeps me going and keeps me driving. I mean, some of the days training to get ready for a fight is not fun whatsoever. And so those are the reasons why it's able to keep me driving, keep me going, is by having that communal support within my tribe, within all Native Americans, being able to give me that support. I've gotten emails from Alaska, from a boxing club up there, and they've showed their support, and so it's really a good feeling to know what I'm doing, people are supporting me in.
All right, thanks again to Wes and all those great people he had as part of that entertainment. You know, it was a big show, and God's congratulations there. Can't wait to see what he does in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Well, our last story of the day is probably one of our better ones this week. You know, we don't play favorites, but how can you not like a story of courage and bravery of a family faced with a sick child, Gerald, and for a lot of people, that's one of the worst things that can happen, and one of the hardest things to go through. But little Turtle, 4-year-old boy that was born with a congenital heart defect, him and his mother recently talked with you there in Tulsa about their journey, and the Mended Little Hearts of Tulsa, a great organization, just a wonderful story for us to be able to share.
Absolutely. We appreciate this Choctaw Cherokee family sitting down with us. Miss Waverly Mouse Evangelista, the mother of Turtle, as Jason mentioned there, and the brave fight this young kid has gone through, all the courageous things this family has done. I want to present this story to you now.
Turtle, when he was born, he had a lot of breathing problems, and we didn't know until he was 3 weeks old that he had a congenital heart defect. And after he was diagnosed, it meant a lot of questions, and we didn't know exactly what that meant. He was diagnosed with double outlet right ventricle, pulmonary stenosis, and 3 VSDs. And after a lot of research, questions asking on my part from the doctors, nurses, staff, I found out that he would have to have, at some point, open heart surgery. And at 10.5 months, he had his first open heart surgery. This is a picture of him at 10.5 months after his open heart surgery. And then 5 weeks later, on his first birthday, is a picture that I took of him. I hooked up with a local support group called Mended Little Hearts of Tulsa, and I'm currently the lead coordinator for that support group, which helps families and siblings affected by CHD. And we're a monthly support group. We meet every second Monday of the month at the Heart Hospital at St. Francis. We do monthly support meetings about CHD, various resources that families need. We often have guest speakers about heart defects and some of the other problems that our children may face, developmental delays, and other problems that they may experience as well. You can find me on Facebook at Mended Little Hearts of Tulsa. We also have a national organization, mendedlittlehearts.org is the website, and there are links to groups around the country that you can find support. If you suspect something is not right in your child, don't hesitate to ask questions, especially if your child has just been born or you're about to have a baby. Ask for a pulse ox, because a pulse ox gets the oxygen level in your body, and it will catch the more serious heart defects in a child. It won't catch all of them. It didn't catch Turtle's, but it certainly can catch the more serious heart defects. Out of the 40,000 children born each year with a heart defect, I haven't found very many Native American families, but this is something that equally affects Native Americans just as it does other races. And I've only found 2 other Native American families. And I'm wanting to reach out to other Native American families and let them know this does affect our group. it does affect Native Americans as a whole, and I want others to be aware of that this can happen to our kids, and it does happen to our kids. Every achievement or milestone that he does, we celebrate because we had no idea, or if he would even meet those milestones. We don't know if he needs to have any more surgeries. That will be determined as his body grows. And currently at 4 years old, he's doing very well.
And thank you again to all the people that made this week's Native News Today so special. A big mado to all of our interview subjects and everybody for giving us a little bit of their time to make sure that you out there hear their stories. You know, maybe it moves you emotionally. Maybe it's something that you get fired up about, like the Fight Club. You know, want to see some good sports going on, you know, and somebody preserving culture like Aaron and Perry did there this week. So when I say we have a little bit of everything for the folks at home, we really do, and we're proud of it when we have shows like this to where we can really run the whole gamut.
Well, definitely, Jason, if our theme this week was about the fighting spirit or the warrior overcoming, we certainly showed that in every story we presented today, and you know, with Turtle and Mr. No Fire and just everyone there.
It's kind of neat when they all string together like that. You know, they all have a little bit of a common theme where you can sort of, you know, go from one to the next one, and they all have that connection, and it really flows for us here on set. And it's really a pleasure to not only film, edit them, but to present them here to you folks and the viewers at home. It's a real treat. So we're going to be excited about that. Excited about stuff we got going on this next week. Definitely don't want to miss us next Saturday. We're going to have some really neat stuff, some stuff that we've never had on the show before. The president of the Arizona Diamondbacks will be visiting with me out there, and I'm just really excited about it. Can't wait to show you guys.
That's right. We talk about the future show just quickly. The past show last week, Jason, we got a lot of response from our review of The Lone Ranger.
Oh man, I figured we did. You know, Aaron Carapella there, that was the map maker. He was telling me that, man, and if I wouldn't have brought it up, I don't remember the guy's name, but a guy that they rebooted the Lone Ranger in the 1980s. It was an Indian guy that played Tonto. Michael Horse. There is a picture on the internet. Google this, Michael Horse or the Tonto. There's a picture of Michael Horse and his response to Johnny Depp's portrayal of Tonto, and in this picture, Michael Horse has a chicken on his head. It's
his little spoof and
it's a parody of the whole deal, and I think, you know, he feels about it the way most of us do. It's,
you know,
something
what's
to
interesting
laugh
about that too is that 1981 movie was premiered July 2nd, and I guess Depp's intention was to premiere it as close as possible, July 3rd of this recent movie. That one didn't do so well either. This one didn't either. Maybe it taking a cue of it.
It might be. It might be. Hey, you know what? Maybe because of this, the next film depicting Native Americans might be a proud story and done exactly right with all Native actors and with diligent research.
What a novel idea.
Yeah. Well, you never know. You never know. One can only hope. So listen, if you don't catch us here on CW 1219, we certainly appreciate it if you do, but you can always catch us on the website, the Muskogee Creek Nation homepage, and our Facebook and Twitter feeds. Native News Today at your fingertips.
That's right. Here for producer Jared Moore and all those here at Native News Today. Meantime, you take care. God bless.
And we'll see you soon.